Stepping up our game, rising from the underground, playing our sound to the overground crowd, making it for the girl that never turn the sound down. We blast our tunes so loud, come around and have us. Shake what you love, give me love, give me that drop. Take down low, baby, make your hands clap. Show me some love tonight, show me some love. Shake what you love, give me love, give me that drop. Take down low, baby, make your hands clap. Stepping up our game, rising. Stepping up our game, rising.
And welcome to AATB Draft Talk. We have a community mock draft. It's huge mock draft tonight. Joined as always by my guy, Tom Barnett. Also joined by AATbirds writers, Adam Mack and Dave Miller. And also one of my friends, John Mollica, who's on Instagram on Raiders Elite. So make sure you check that out as well. And also he's on Twitter as well. We're gonna dive into this. We're gonna get into it all. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of I won't say confusion, but we're just throwing this all together. So for me, I got both Eagles picks, so I'm really happy because I'm going to be able to set this team right for the future. Tom got the Giants pick, so he can set his team right and pick a quarterback. But we're gonna start off with you guys. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty well. I'm excited to do a 2-rounder, to be honest. It's the first time in All About the Birds Draft Talk history.
That is very true. We have not done 2 rounds yet, so this should be fun.
I'll say I'm doing all right. It's 2 a.m. over here, so I'm looking forward to it. Get the practice in Thursday.
Dave is it's very late over there, but we are very happy that you are joining us all the way from across the pond. First pick is going to be Tommy's. He's going Jacksonville. I don't know if there's any surprises he has in store, but who do you got with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, I'm not pulling anything out of the hat here. I mean, same pick we've known for the last 6 months now. Trevor Lawrence going number 1. Not much to really say about that.
Yeah, all right. So that's kind of a simple thing. We've had that all year long, basically. It's been Trevor Lawrence. So, and I know none of you guys have any rebuttals with that. That's kind of as clear cut as it can be, kind of right now.
Pretty much.
Basically, the first 2 picks are kind of clear cut. I had the second pick, the New York Jets. I'm going Zach Wilson. I'm not going to take long to do that. To me, it's Zach Wilson. He's the guy. They traded Sam Darnold to Carolina. They need a quarterback. Zach Wilson is going to be that guy. The number 3 pick is going to be John. What do you have San Fran doing?
All right, fellas. So trying to dive in here and get in the mind of Kyle Shanahan, and where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. So I know one of you guys said you're going to be upset with me if I don't pick a certain quarterback, but I'm going the opposite route here. I'm going with Mac Jones.
Ooh. So there's the first outlier here. Mac Jones is the selection. I know, Adam, you said something before the show about Justin Fields. So now, Mac Jones goes 3. You are on the clock with Atlanta with 4 now. This is interesting. Now, what do you do with the Atlanta Falcons selection?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of talk that Atlanta's going to go quarterback here. They have too much money invested in Matt Ryan right now to completely bail on him and bring in a quarterback. If you're taking a quarterback at 4, you're drafting a quarterback to start. They're not looking for a quarterback to start. They need more weapons. Best weapon available is Kyle Pitts, the unicorn from Florida. He is a mismatch nightmare. He's too quick for linebackers. He's too big for cornerbacks. He's probably the second best player in this draft. Easy pick here. Matt Ryan now has an offense of Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, and Kyle Pitts. They got to fix the running back position at some point, but it's a pretty scary offense to have right now. They have to be all in on Matt Ryan, and no better way to do that other than Kyle Pitts right here.
And I want to let everybody know we're not doing any trades. So this will definitely be somewhere where you could see possibly a trade. We're not going to do any of that. We're not going to mix it up and confuse people with trades. So it's going to be straight. The board, how the board sits is how we're going to draft it. So that I just want to make that clarification. But, Pitts adds to an offense with Atlanta. They need a lot. They're not a great team, but to be able to get a player to go with Calvin Ridley and go with, like you said, go with Julio Jones, that they're getting the unicorn of the draft there with Kyle Pitts. Now, number 5, Dave, you were on the clock with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk of, reuniting Joe Burrow with his best friend in college, but you've got to go Penei Sewell because, look how his last season ended. Look how I think he was probably on course to be the second most sacked quarterback in the league. You've got to protect your big investment. So I'm going to go Penei Sewell and hopefully be protecting Joe Burrow's blind side for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I would agree with Sewell here. That's a pick that I've been high on for a while now, to be honest. I'm with you for the same exact reasons. You got to protect Burrow.
So now you're on the clock there, Tommy, with the Miami Dolphins at 6.
So going number 6, I want to get to a weapon. So I'm going with Jamar Chase, wide receiver. I think for them it'd be kind of between Kyle Pitts and Chase, with Chase falling. He's the obvious pick for me.
It gives them a weapon. It also brings me to the Detroit Lions selection. Our guy here, Jason Sullivan, always watched all the shows, all about the birds, huge Lions fan. So this one's tough, but I'm going Micah Parsons. I know receiver. I know that's, to me, they go receiver if they trade back. I don't see them selecting any receiver up at 7. Micah Parsons is the best linebacker in the draft. Absolute playmaker, something their defense does need. They need playmakers on defense. So for me, Micah Parsons here is the selection. And you get it before a team like Carolina, who possibly could be looking that route as well. So Carolina's on the clock, and John, that's you.
All right. So, my buddy Anthony, huge Panther fan. So I don't know how he's going to feel about this, but I know it'll make a lot of Cowboy fans upset. I'm actually going to go with Patrick Surtain, second corner from Alabama.
Stop taking my picks.
Hey, man. They went all defense last year, and I think they want to continue to build. I was really close on going Rashawn Slater or going with a offensive tackle or something like that, but I'm going to stick, Rule. He's a smash mouth guy. I'm going to stick with building that defense and going with the best corner in the draft.
And that's where it becomes interesting now, because now these players, especially, Surtain, you still have Slater on the board, and you still have playmakers still on the board. Where does Denver go with this next selection?
Well, I had 2 players on my radar who I both thought were going to be there, and Micah Parsons and Patrick Surtain. They are both now off the board. So I have to kind of reroute. But if Denver's sitting here and there's, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the draft sitting here at 9, I think you need to take him. Drew Lock has done nothing to kind of prove that he is going to be the long-term solution in Denver. He's had some injury concerns, but yes, a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be the future. I think if Denver gets a guy like Justin Fields from Ohio State, I think they're in a prime position for the longevity and, can start making some runs. So I'm going to give him Justin Fields. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft, right in front of Lawrence. If he falls to them at 9, it may not be the plan to draft a quarterback, but I think you have to take full advantage of it.
And that's an interesting selection. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of Drew Lock at the end of his rookie season, but if Fields falls here, I'm with you on this. You have to take him, to be honest.
As a Raider fan, I do not like this. All right, we got Fields, we got Mahomes, and we got Herbert, and we have Carr.
So. But then again, this is where the Raiders need to just draft all defense, and then they'll be able to set themselves up to be able to defend all these players.
That's what I'm targeting. But man, I was really hoping for Parsons, but we'll see how it goes. Depends how the board falls, man.
All right, and this brings up the Cowboys selection for Dave. Where do you see Jerry Jones going with this selection?
It's an interesting one. I mean, obviously, I'm caught in two minds with two players here. Obviously, their defense was a shambles last year, but as was their offensive line. And you've just invested one of the biggest NFL contracts in NFL history. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line isn't getting any younger, so I'll go with Sean Slater. I think you want to, again, it's all about backing up your big investment, and you have your left tackle, your left guard, wherever you want to play him. He's so versatile for the next, again, 10, 15 years, and hopefully Dak doesn't have a repeat of last year and hurts himself.
Yeah, so unfortunately, you just kind of took my pick at number 11, so I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Was hoping Slater was going to be there, pencil him in as our starting guard. So number 11, Giants, kind of between like an edge rusher or an offensive lineman for the guard at a guard position. Honestly, I'm going to go for what's probably be considered a little bit of a reach here, but I like Elijah Vera Tucker a lot. I'm going with him at 11. Giants really need a guard. You want to everyone wants to give Daniel Jones all these weapons, but they're not going to do anything if you don't have an offensive line and protect him. Get Vera Tucker, best guard in the draft.
There's the first, like you said, it's a little bit of a reach. So that's the first interesting selection. And of course, it brings me to number 12 with the Eagles. And where do I go with this selection? Because you got guys on the board. The quarterback is still there, Trey Lance. I don't want to pick a quarterback, so I'm not going to do that. I got enough flack when Jalen Hurts was picked last year when I did a draft Zoom call, and that wasn't very fun. John remembers that. But for me, I'm going J.C. Horn. I think they need to build on defense. I know the receivers are there. Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle are there. But again, if you don't have any other corners playing, the problem is you have Darius Slay. He's 30 years old. But then what else do you have? There isn't much else behind that. So for me, Horn is the selection because you need to shore up that secondary and you need to start getting some players. Because for me, 37, you're going to have receivers there that are going to be able to be a value if you want to go that route. So for me, 12, I'm going J.C. Horn, South Carolina. And anything with that, Dave?
I love the pick. I think, as you said, Darius Slay, 30 years old. You don't know how long he's going to be at his best. And again, last year, he was injury prone. He couldn't either finish games. He had to leave games. That left you with Devontae Maddox playing as your number one cornerback. As he's proven, he can't be trusted. So you got your guy to slip in at number 2 and then future number 1.
Adam, you too. I want your feedback since you're another Eagles fans.
Yeah, I think, J.C. Horn is the popular pick now here for 12 for Eagles fans. I know we have a huge need at wide receiver, but we also have a huge need at cornerback. We have an opportunity to get a top-end cornerback here at 12. Now, there's 2 wide receivers that are on the board. Of the 3 players, I think J.C. Horn's going to fit in a lot better than Waddle and Devontae Smith. We can get the bigger positions in wide receiver at 37 or maybe try to trade back in the first. J.C. Horn's best known for just playing super physical ball. Eagle fans love players that play physical. I think it's a perfect match.
Right.
So that brings up number 13. The Chargers are your selection, John.
This is definitely tough because the the offensive weapons I didn't know would be available here. To be honest, John, I thought that's the route you were going. But even so, you know what? I'm going to go. Maybe you want to call it the safe route, but they got to protect their prize, man. So I'm going with Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle. He's one of my favorites in the draft, and one that if I was going to go offense for the Raiders at 17, that's kind of who I would want along the offensive line. Guy's just nasty. I really don't want him going into a division rival, but I think he's going to be great there to protect Justin Herbert going forward. And I think that's their priority, kind of like you see with what Cincinnati did. So.
I know he's a favorite of Tom. I know, Tom, you really like Darrisaw.
Yeah, I've had him going 13 for a while now too.
So all right, so that brings it up to you, Adam. You got Minnesota selecting at number 14.
So Minnesota's biggest need is edge rusher. I think this is kind of a reach no matter who they go right here. I think if any team's in the first round is going to trade back, it's going to be the Vikings, just simply for the fact that they can get an edge rusher probably anywhere in the first round. I won't be surprised if any of them don't go, but they have a big need, and this is probably going to be a bigger reach, but I have them taking Jalen Phillips from Miami. I know there's a lot of people that are hesitant on him because of the injury history with him, but when you take the injury history out, he's without question the best edge rusher in this draft. Super quick off the line, has the best hands of the edge rushers. He's going to provide a lot of run support for Dalvin Cook. It's a reach, but, the NFL draft is all about taking risks and going for reaches. Take the injuries out of it. Jalen Phillips is the best edge rusher in this draft.
So it's another – yeah, it's another interesting – to me, if Phillips didn't have the injury history, this would be an absolute no-brainer. And I can see him actually possibly going even higher just with what he did for Miami and how he played and just, what he displays on the field. And I know Tommy and I talked about it. He's a guy that's, if the injury history wasn't there, we talked that he would have been an easy possible top 10 pick just because of his talent and a player that, maybe Tommy's Giants would select if there was no injury history. But,
the injury history is what scares me a little bit with him.
But again, like Minnesota, they're taking a risk here. And like you said, the trade back scenario is definitely something. I saw something mentioned where Baltimore possibly trading their two selections, especially if both the receivers with Waddle and Smith are on the board. You could see Baltimore taking those two selections to trade up to 14 to get one of those guys. And then it, like you said, it moves Minnesota back to be able to select an edge rusher and not be a super reach of a pick. But of course, we're not doing trades, so that's not there. So they get the edge rusher at 14, which brings number 15 and the New England Patriots for Dave.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned trades because I think if Trey Lance falls around where the Eagles are, I think the Eagles are prime candidates to trade down with the Patriots. And obviously they got Cam Newton at the moment, but as we know, Cam Newton's not a sustainable quarterback long term. And I think they go for Trey Lance. Him and Newton both have similar traits. The big built quarterbacks. They love to run. They love to go off script. They've got big arms. I think that is the logical pick for them if they're going down that route of quarterback for the future.
Yeah, I think Lance falling to them is honestly like dream scenario for them to be able to get a quarterback and not have to trade up at all.
Nah. And also allows them to sit behind Cam Newton for a year as well and sort of learn off him.
Yeah, the one thing in the draft I'm probably going to miss this year is not seeing Bill Belichick sitting at his kitchen table by himself.
With Nike.
But, yeah, exactly. But this brings up number 16. So, Tom, take it away.
So 16, I was kind of hoping one of the corners were going to fall here for Arizona. But instead, the wide receivers actually ended up falling. I have to go with Jalen Waddle. With the amount of 4 receiver sets that the Cardinals run, I feel like Waddle is going to fit in great there and give Kyler another weapon.
It gives that offense absolute talent explosion. That's really great for Arizona and Kyler Murray to be able to have another target to throw to. John, I'm going to give you the Raiders selection. We're just going to swap Raiders and Dolphins. So go ahead, select for your Las Vegas Raiders. My bad there.
Waddle in Arizona will be that could be scary. So this is interesting because you're not expecting Devontae Smith to be there. Now I'm not going that route, but John Gruden, if there's anybody that will go offense, and when everyone else thinks he's going defense or whatever, it's him. You know what I mean? And somebody like Devontae Smith falls, or even Jalen Waddle gets there, you just never know. I've already heard rumors of him, drooling over those guys. So we'll see. We'll hear one of the Alabama guys with Ruggs and Jacobs and who knows. But we're not going that route here. I am going with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker, safety, whatever, from Notre Dame, defensive athlete. So Raiders, like you said, Johnny, need an alpha man on defense. They need an alpha, especially in that division. They spent picks and money on their offense. They spent on defense, hasn't quite worked out yet. But JOK kind of reminds me a little bit of Derwin James, and we signed Gus Bradley this year, who knows how to use a kind of like a hybrid guy like that, similar to Isaiah Simmons. This guy's just a playmaker, extremely fast, and in my opinion, kind of guy you need in today's NFL. So that's my pick for the Raiders.
I'll let Tom talk him up. He's a big JOK guy.
Yeah, I honestly, he's someone I would even consider at 11 for the Giants. Just the way that we value linebackers, I couldn't do it. Right. I don't see us doing it. But he's a little bit, like you were saying, he could do everything on defense. He really gives the Raiders that kind of identity that they need.
Absolutely. And he might be able to keep number 6 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the single-digit numbers. I have number 18 with Miami. So Miami, this one's kind of tough. They got the receiver, the weapon, earlier at number 6. So number 18 here. I'm kind of torn of where I want to go. But I'm gonna, we're going a little different. I'm going Najee Harris. He's the best running back in the draft, and it gives Miami another playmaker. I thought about possibly going offensive line here. That may be the selection that they go, but I just feel that Najee Harris is there. He's not going to last much longer after this selection. So for me, get Tua, someone who's familiar with, which he is familiar with, Najee Harris, but they have to get him some weapons. Is Tua the answer in Miami? I don't know that, but to me, I think you go Najee Harris and just go with it. Go ahead, Adam. Look like you want to say something.
No, I mean, obviously it's a popular pick with everybody with Najee and going to Miami. I mean, it's the one thing that they need is a running back. I think the big worrisome for me is that Miami's not going to utilize him. They've really, truly never utilized the running back position, and he's going to be such a wasted talent if they don't decide to utilize him.
Yeah. That is very concerning. For me, for Najee, if he doesn't go Miami, I think a team like Pittsburgh will not pass on him. I feel like that's like the ideal situation. If he drops to Pittsburgh, it's almost like they've run up with the card and say, please, I want Najee Harris. But I stole it away. So, of course, unfortunately, that selection won't be. Adam, you are up with the Washington football team.
Sweet. So I think one of the biggest needs for Washington is the wide receiver position. They obviously signed Curtis Samuel in the offseason, but I think they're really, truly missing that downfield threat. I know the popular pick right here is Devontae Smith. However, I'm not going down that route. I'm going to go Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. I think he's the second best wide receiver in this draft, just the way he comes off the ball, his physicality. Obviously, if Devontae Smith was 40, 50 pounds heavier, might be a different question, but I just like Bateman a lot more than Smith, and I just don't want to see Smith in the NFC East pretty much.
For me, I think if the quarterback's not there, I think Washington's going to wind up going, the playmaker position, receiver.
If a quarterback falls, you're almost required to take one of them. It doesn't matter if it's Lance, Jones. If one of them falls, you have to take them.
And like I said, if in the draft, you can see if like Trey Lance falls or the quarterbacks like fields are starting to fall, you can see teams like Chicago and Washington and New England trying to trade up there to get one of these guys. So that's something definitely keep an eye out come draft night with that. Dave, you're on the clock with the Chicago Bears selection now.
It's an interesting one. Obviously, you see Devontae Smith still there, but as obviously Andy Dalton's obviously just over pass over quarterbacks. You start building the foundations. But I think Devontae Smith's too good to pass up if you're the Chicago Bears. Start stacking up weapons now for your rookie quarterback, whether it's next year or if you end up trading for a guy like Russell Wilson. Start stacking up on weapons. Get your guy. Devontae Smith alongside Allen Robinson. It's going to be dangerous.
So what I like about this pick, I actually had Devonta falling to the Bears at 20 about 3 weeks ago, and people thought I was absolutely crazy for it. And for it to happen again, I just absolutely love to see it. Makes me feel a little bit better.
You think his weight has anything to do with it?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just think, and everyone brought up like, oh, well, this guy wasn't that big. I understand he played differently. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad pro, but when you're taking someone high, especially, high first round, and a guy weighs in at 166, and it's not like he's 5'8", 5'9", he's upwards of 6 foot, almost 6'1". So, it may not even matter. He may just, may not matter at all. But then again, you have to really look at it and think, it's scary because of a thinner frame. But again, he could prove everybody wrong and, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And especially if he drops, to me, it's almost like a CeeDee Lamb drop, but basically not the size aspect. So if he were to drop that far, to me, I could see team like lower in the draft, Baltimore and a Green Bay or, someone like that trying to trade up possibly if he starts really falling. Could definitely see that. But again, I don't know why I say Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't get Aaron Rodgers any playmakers. We know that. We saw that.
Don't put it past Kansas City either.
True.
Don't put it past.
Very true.
Yeah.
Who's up next? So that next selection is Tommy. You got the Colts.
I have 21, so I was kind of eyeing Smith up a little bit with this pick to get Carson a weapon, but ultimately I feel they have to protect him. So I'm going with offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins. He's a guy that I'm really high on, played right tackle in college. Might be a little difficult for him moving over to the left side, but he was extremely productive and consistent for Oklahoma State last year.
I'm a big fan of Jenkins, and I was torn between him and JOK, honestly.
Yeah.
The Raiders need that right tackle. He's just a nasty player. Reason I think the Raiders pass on him is because he has short arms, and Tom Cable in history has known to take a certain profile of guy, and he just unfortunately doesn't fit it, but great player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jenkins is, a very good player. And of course, Colts, Anthony Costanzo retires. They need someone. They need to start replenishing, keep their quarterback upright. So I have Tennessee selection at number 22. This one's kind of tough because there are some pass rushers left on the board. I think that's the way I'm going to go. Kwity Paye, to me, I just don't see him as a 3-4 because I know Tennessee runs 3-4. To me, and I've had him mocked here before, there's just something about Azeez Ojulari and the Tennessee Titans. I just feel that it's a fit, and what he can do with that defense. Jadeveon Clowney is no longer on the team. They need pass rush help, and even when he was on the team last year, he was a little disruptive, but the numbers weren't evident, and Tennessee needs to get pass rush help. It's one thing that they've lacked a little bit. Now I know the secondary also struggled last year as well. There's a little bit of a turnover there too. So you could go that route as well. But for me, I'm going to go Azeez Ojulari. Okay. And this brings up, John, you have the Jets' second selection.
Got the Jets second. So real quick, Ivan Rivera in the chat brings up, does Smith have any injury problems? And correct me if I'm wrong. Not really. I see he had the dislocated finger, right? Correct in the
in the championship game.
And he left, but that's all I know of really in his time in Alabama. You guys can correct me there if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think he's had injuries to. I don't think so. No, so that'd be the only thing was just that the finger issue. After he put up video game numbers in that first.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, bring me to the Jets. So we obviously got our quarterback, but their new head coach, obviously defensive-minded guy, and I think he wants to start building that defense here. And I think a guy that fits it perfectly, fits a bunch of schemes really, including Salah's cover 3 scheme would be a guy I really, really like. Greg Newsome, a corner from Northwestern. So that is my second pick here for the Jets. Like I said, I don't really see a way here they don't go defense, just with with him a head coach, and I think he fits the profile for the type of corners that he likes, and he's honestly one of my favorite players in the draft. He's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
And that brings up Adam. Any thoughts on Newsome with the selection? With you coming up with the Pittsburgh selection next?
No, Newsome's a great pick. I think, especially with the Farley injuries, his stock has been on the rise. And I think he's always been a solid cornerback, just the way he plays, being able to pressure, his physicality. With Farley's injury history, he's getting a lot more attention, which is obviously good for him. And, a team isn't going to get him as a steal now. But with the Steelers, originally this pick was going to be Najee Harris. I mean, they haven't been able to establish a run game in years. However, Najee's off, and I think it's going to be too much of a stretch to take any of the running backs that are on the board. So I'm going to go back to their offensive line. They lost Villanueva and Pouncey this offseason. I think they're going to try to fill one of those holes back up. This is going to be another kind of a reach pick, but I'm going to give him Landon Dickerson, center from Alabama. And before the injury, I think this without question, he was a top 10 player in this draft. But the huge injury concern is the reason he may fall to outside the second round. But I think, he's the biggest offensive lineman in this draft. He fills holes. He only had, I think, in 2020, 5 pressures he allowed. I think he's one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. He may have to sit for a few games, but if you have him sit for a few games and then have a long-term center, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to complain too much.
And the thing with Dickerson is he was at Florida State before Alabama, and he played every single position at Florida State and Alabama. He's moved all over. He's versatile. He could do so much. Center, I think, the position he plays in the NFL. But did you see? I think today I saw something about. I guess an NFL scout said something about he's just a guy, which it's pretty interesting. I wonder whose scout. It's probably one of Howie Roseman's guys.
Probably the same guy that said Kyle Pitts is just another tight end. Probably the same exact guy.
Yeah. So I saw that. I thought that was pretty interesting because to me, I don't think that's true at all. But again, it's his opinion, and I guess that's really all it is just an opinion because there's really no fact behind that. Dave, you have the Jacksonville second selection at number 25.
Again, I think Jacksonville are in an interesting position here because they've got a decent receiver core. Again, they don't need a running back, but I think they've lost a couple of pieces on their offensive line over the last couple of years. And looking at the players available, I think Alex Leatherwood, again, he's shown versatility. They can play anywhere, and I think he's a player that is probably ready to slot in either at the guard position or he can start at tackle if needed. So I'm going to go Alex Leatherwood for the Jags. And, again, protect Trevor Lawrence and make his life easier.
Yeah, I like the Leatherwood pick here. I feel like he's one of those guys who had the hype coming into the season and then it was kind of forgotten about. But I like his versatility that he's played tackle and guard. He's been in the SEC for the last 3 seasons playing at a consistent level. So I do think he can go over a guy like Sam Cosmi more because he's been more of a consistent producer at multiple positions.
So Tom, that brings you to the – go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, I like Leatherwood. I think his upside is tremendous.
Go ahead, Tom. You have the Cleveland at 26.
So with Cleveland at 26, I'm going with Christian Barmore out of Alabama. What I like about him, they're going to have a fierce defensive line with Garrett, Clowney, and then Barmore on the interior. I mean, that's just nasty. I can't turn that away, even though there are a few other guys I was considering here. Just to make the defensive line that good, gonna bring a lot of trouble to that division.
So it brings me with Baltimore's first of their two first-round picks. They acquired, of course, Kansas City's first-round pick in the trade for Orlando Brown Jr. So brings me to Baltimore, and Baltimore has, they have some needs. So there's the interesting thing on the board here is I'm thinking about offensive tackle, but then I don't know if I really want to do that. Kwity Paye still sitting there. Don't know how much he fits this defense. So I'm going to go as a little bit of an outlier. And yes, I do think Baltimore will trade up, but we are not doing any trades. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go a little bit out of the ordinary here, and I'm going to go Joseph Asai from Texas. He's one of the players that I really like. I feel Texas asked him to do so many different things, and I feel in a Baltimore Ravens type of defense, they're going to use him in a multitude of ways, but they're going to use him at his strengths. And I feel he's going to be I think he's going to be one of the best pass rushers out of this draft. I've stated it in a couple episodes ago. He was one of my guys that has a super high ceiling, in my opinion. And I feel Baltimore, with 2 first-round picks, they can take a little bit of a reach here if they want. But I'm going Joseph Asai out of Texas here for them. So this brings up to you, John, with the New Orleans Saints.
All right. Yeah, good pick, man. So Saints always seemed like a little bit of a tricky team. I think it was last year they took Cesar Ruiz, and I did not see that coming. But it worked out. So either way, there's 2 players here that I can go, and I've been thinking about it, obviously, but I'm going to just pull the trigger here on I'm going to go with Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. This guy, to me, is kind of like a throwback mixed with a little bit of, like new school. The guy's just a big dude. But he can run. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Brian Urlacher type. But they lost a lot of snaps. The Saints did. I think they lost Quan Alexander. They lost Anzalone, Craig Robertson. Obviously, they still have Davis, but you pair Davis with Collins, and I think they'll have something there on the defense. So I almost chose Farley there, and I think that would be a good fit. But I'm going with Collins. I really couldn't pass up on him. It just seems like a Saints player.
Yeah, I like Collins a lot also. He was the linebacker I was considering there for Cleveland with 26.
Yeah, that would be good too.
So with the Green Bay selection, Adam, you were on the clock. Do you help Aaron Rodgers? That is the question.
Of course not. Why would we do that? So a few different directions I wanted to go. I really wanted to trade up for a quarterback that we probably could have got in the 3rd round. There was that option. Obviously, we can get a wide receiver to help him, but we're not going to do that. I really wanted Zaven Collins, but he's no longer available. So I'm going to go for somebody that is going to help the defense out. Another injury-prone player, because I think that's the 3rd one in a row that I've done. But I'm going Caleb Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech. I think, obviously the injury concern has not good for him. It's making him fall. But when you take the injuries out, he's extremely physically gifted. He has great ball skills. The big question mark with him is going to be the injury concerns. But when you're sitting at 29 and you can't trade back at all, sometimes taking the risk with Caleb Farley is going to be worth it.
Yeah, Farley dropping to Green Bay would be, for them, it's almost like it falls right in their lap there because Jace Alexander is a great corner, but other than him, Chandon Sullivan's okay, and they had so many struggles last year, and I know they need another playmaker opposite. It's going to help them. It's going to be, when they had, the Woodson, Al Harris, to be able to try to replicate that and get back to something like that to help them. But I think that's a great value pick, and him dropping is, to me, I feel it's going to happen because of the injuries. I know he was cleared. I know they did like a medical combine, but I still think he's going to drop a little bit. But this comes up with the Buffalo Bills now, and you gave it number 30.
I mean, looking at the boards, I think obviously cornerback could have been with Farley, but I think looking at the Buffalo, and obviously I think that title game is going to live long in their memory, going to haunt them for a while. The fact they couldn't get near Patrick Mahomes, and I think because of that, they are going to take an edge rusher, and I think he's fallen further than I think he will. I think we'll go Quitty Pay for the Bills. I think they just need someone on the outside that can get to the quarterback, and as we saw in that championship game, Mahomes literally had all the time in the world just to pick apart their defense. I think getting a play like that will set them in the right direction to hopefully toppling the Chiefs in the AFC.
Yeah, Pay is a player that I like a lot. I could honestly see him going in the top 15. For him to still be here at 30 is a really great steal for Buffalo.
Yeah.
So it brings you up with the Baltimore Ravens' second selection.
So Ravens at 27, they went with Joseph Osai, an edge rusher. So I think with this pick, they're kind of going to go the wide receiver route. I would go with Terrace Marshall out of LSU. He's a little bit of a bigger receiver. They typically are more of like the speed yak guys. So I was kind of considering like Kadarius Toney or a Rondale Moore. I feel like we were talking about this on their last show where they should probably go with a little bit of a bigger receiver instead of one of these slot guys, but I would go Marshall here.
So I have Tampa Bay's selection at 32, and I'm going to make it quick here. They have some aging, defensive ends and some edge rushers. For me, I'm going to go Jason Owa. I know he's a little bit different. I know Tampa runs a little bit different of a scheme, but I feel they can use him as a pass rush specialist type of player. But they can use him, a number of ways. So, and for me, Tampa Bay for them, they re-signed how many players this year? They can basically just go with whatever, just because they're still, they're still deep. They don't really have many holes. So for them, it's just kind of whoever's available.
Exactly. And I think for obviously away as well, it's quite a young player. He's not obviously the finished article, so being able to sit behind the likes of Shaq Barrett and learn from him and JPP is going to be an awesome experience for him.
Exactly. And this brings up, John, you're next with Jacksonville Jaguars' third selection. Now we are into the second round now. So this is the first time that All About the Birds Draft Talk has gone into the second round. So this should be fun. Get us started.
All right, well, I'm glad to kick it off here. So, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, they got the quarterback and their offensive lineman here in the first round. So I think we're going to focus on defense. They did a pretty decent job, I think, in free agency. They got Shaq Griffin, they got Rayshon Jenkins, and then obviously they drafted C.J. Anderson. So I'm going to continue that theme of building the secondary. And I think it might be the first safety off the board. I'm going to go with Trayvon Moehrig from – I don't know if I pronounced that right, honestly, from TCU. I really like him. I could see the Raiders trading back or even reaching for him because they have that need at free safety there at 17. But in my opinion, he's a day one starter, and he fits that defense. He's got ball skills, he's got great range, he's got good size. So yeah, for the Jaguars, I think this is a good pickup. Start building that defense.
Yeah, it gets them. It helps their secondary. Jacksonville has so many picks, and for me, it's just the last couple of years they're just adding so much young talent to, get back in that division. And the division's not. To me, I think that division is winnable for them in the next year or two. So especially when you get a franchise quarterback and then you start adding other pieces. So for me, that's a great selection. Brings the next selection, number 34, the New York Jets. And Adam, that is all you.
I'm pretty sure. Did the Jets go edge rusher for the last pick?
Newsome.
Newsome corner.
Oh, even better. Perfect. So I'm going edge rusher Gregory Rousseau, however you pronounce it. I'm going the second edge rusher for Miami. Miami's edge rushers were insane last year. Phillips and Rousseau, however, Gregory, they both played fantastic together. Gregory is super long and athletic. He's versatile. He's going to come in to the Jets defensive line and provide a much needed edge rusher that they haven't had for a long time. Especially with a defensive minded new head coach. I know Travis Etienne is sitting right there, and that all Jets fans want him. But no, I'm a big firm believer defense wins championships, and Rosu right now is the best defensive player on the board for them.
And brings up number 35, Atlanta Falcons. That is you, Dave. And where does Atlanta go? They went the unicorn Kyle Pitts with the first selection. So where do they go with the second?
I mean, obviously they addressed the offense in the first pick. The second pick, they're going to go with their defense, and they're going to go for Eric Stokes, cornerback out of Georgia. I think obviously we saw their secondary at times abused last year. They go and score 30 points, they give it 45. I think if you can get a guy like Eric Stokes and just, might not be the finished article next year, but to grow and sort of become a cornerstone of that defense, I think that's what they really do need now going forward.
And that brings up Tommy. That brings up you with Miami's next selection at number 36.
So I think I was kind of eyeing up Rousseau a little bit, but since the Jets took him, I'm going with linebacker Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. He's a guy who's kind of flying up draft boards right now. It might be a little bit early, but I've actually seen him get a little bit of first round buzz towards the end of the first. But I think he's a good pick for Miami. Add to that defense a little bit.
So this brings up me to the Eagles again, number 37. Go over to the defensive side. So maybe making a selection here that people aren't going to like.
What position are you looking?
Go edge. All right, so I'm gonna go. You can go back to the top. So with number 37, I'm gonna go Carlos Basham Jr., edge from Wake Forest. Now, his size and what he can do. I know he's a little bit older. I think he's actually 24, but he can play inside. He can play outside. He can do so many different things. And I know a lot of people want to go receiver here, but for me, I feel like in the third round, you can get receivers. And I think what the Eagles covet is edge rushers, defensive linemen. And this is a guy that he can give you almost like a Danico Autry, who was in Indianapolis, or a Vinny Curry type, or somebody that can play inside, outside, Brandon Graham inside, outside, somebody that can do a number of things for the defense. So I know it may not be a popular pick, but this is something I could see them doing. Absolutely. Dave, Adam, what are your thoughts?
Do you want to go first, Adam?
Yeah, sure. I love Boogie Basham, man. I think he's like the forgotten edge rusher of this draft simply because of the school he went to. Wake Forest hasn't produced much NFL talent over the years. So once, you finally have a big name guy in Boogie Basham, I think he's been going kind of unsaid. But he put up so many great numbers while he was there. 23 sacks last year, or career. Sorry, he had 23 sacks, but that's incredible. Something that our defensive line needs. I was hoping if we can get him later, but I know people might not be happy. But once you see him on the field, I think he'll become a fan favorite.
Yeah, I think, as you were saying, obviously, it could easily become a fan favourite. I mean, it might not be the most popular pick, obviously, with players like Tony on the board, but again, the Eagles do need to upgrade the pass rush. Obviously, going after this year, you're looking at having an aging Brandon Graham, having someone like Basham who can be a versatile player, play inside and out, will obviously attack a huge need for the next 4 years at least. So I think, again, it might not be the most popular pick, but I'm on board with it. I like it.
And number 38, Cincinnati Bengals. John, that is your selection.
All right. So this one was interesting. I was kind of torn between taking a wide receiver, obviously, since that was the popular pick at 5, and they didn't go that route. They went what I think is the smart route. And honestly, I think they kind of continue building that line a little bit. I know they added Quentin Spain. I think he's a left guard. I think they take a right guard here. I'm going Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. Believe it or not, I was kind of torn here. I kind of wanted to go Elijah Moore. But I don't know, man. I just after like you kind of hit on the way that season ended, and looking at Burrow's knee, I think they just want to load up on that O line. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm going with.
Depth is key, and what can you do in the draft is get depth. So, definitely a good selection there for Cincinnati to be able to build that line to protect Joe Burrow. That brings up the number 39 selection, the Carolina Panthers, and Adam.
Sweet. So I have them taking Pat Freiermuth, tight end from Penn State. I think this is a situation that if Carolina is there and he's sitting there, you kind of have to take advantage of it. I would be shocked if he's available to them at 39, but here he is. I think they haven't had a solid tight end since prime Greg Olsen. It's just adding another weapon for Sam Darnold, and you really truly can't go wrong with him for the Matt Rule offense.
And I like that selection. I think Pat Freiermuth is a very talented player. But that comes up with number 40 now, Denver Broncos. And Dave, you are on the clock.
I mean, I think Denver's interesting because it's a difficult one to sort of look at. I think obviously they've lost pieces in the secondary again. They're in a division that has incredible quarterbacks. I think cornerback's probably the best option for them. So I'm thinking they go with Calvin Joseph, the cornerback, just to bolster that secondary. I know they lost AJ Boye a couple of years ago. And the secondary again last year wasn't exactly the greatest. So I'm going to go Calvin Joseph.
And that comes up to you, Tommy, with number 41 and the Detroit Lions.
So I think the Lions went with Parsons at 7, if I remember right, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they have to basically go with a wide receiver here, as they essentially have none on their roster. I'd go with Kadarius Toney. I like his yak ability, his ability to create yards after the catch. He's not. I wouldn't really consider him a true number 1, but he gives them a weapon on offense that they don't really have.
And it brings me up to the Giants. Who did you select with the number 11 pick? You picked Vera Tucker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go to the edge rushers. I want to see, because that is a big need of the Giants. And this one's tough. You know what? Go back to. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Joe Tryon from Washington. I know it may be a tiny bit early, but I feel the edge rush class is starting to, fill out. A lot of teams are starting to pick the edge rushers. I think the Giants need to get an edge rusher before it starts to become a little slim pickings for them. It's a position they need. I know, Tommy, you can elaborate more on why they need the edge rusher.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ronnie Perkins. He was going to be my pick there. That's why I didn't really go with him at. Yeah, I knew you knew my pick. but Tryon's though, he's a good edge rusher. He has a lot of speed to him. I do like the pick here for them.
So that brings number 43, and John, you're on the clock with San Francisco.
All right, I'm a little torn here, but I think I'm going to go. Is Elijah Molden still on the board?
I think he is still on the board. Yep,
All right
there.
I'm going with Elijah Molden. I think it gives them a versatility on defense. I think if there's a certain edge rusher there, I think they might go that route. I think they really like Basham there if he falls, but obviously he was taken. So, I'm going to go with Elijah Molden, one of my favorite, most versatile players on defense, to be honest with you. I really like him. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Honey Badger. Play him at safety, can play him in the nickel, and he's good in run support and good in coverage. So just a really good versatile weapon for any defense to have in today's NFL.
And San Francisco had a ton of injuries last year. They did lose a couple players in free agency. They have a couple older guys. And like you said, versatile. Molden can play a couple different positions in that secondary. So that's a great value pick for San Francisco. That brings up now, Adam, you have the Dallas Cowboys second round selection.
So I believe Dallas went with Rashawn Slater at 10. So I think they need to focus on their defense. I personally don't think they need to. I hope their defense stays very bad as an Eagles fan. However, for the basis of this show, we're going to give them a good player. I think they're going to go cornerback. This is kind of right where the cornerbacks are going to be very, very solid for them. And I'm going to give them an Eagles fan favorite, Asante Samuel Jr. I think when you look at just technique, there's no one better in this draft. He's going to need to work on his physicality and his size, but I think he's an upgrade to whatever they have right now. So I'm going Samuel Jr.
And that brings up Dave. You have Jacksonville Jaguars. It seems like you have all the Jaguars.
Yeah.
You have Jaguars 45th selection.
This is an interesting one. I think I'm gonna go Elijah Moore. I think why not shower your new luxurious quarterback with weapons? Give him a guy to go opposite DJ Chark, who was just coming off if I'm correct, he did tear his ACL last year, didn't he? But yeah, Chark tore his ACL last year.
You have so many picks. Why not get a guy to, someone to play great. To me, I think he's going to do really, really well in the slot. I feel that's position, just the way he's speed and then what he can do. I feel he's a perfect fit there. But it gives Trevor Lawrence, like you said, gives Trevor Lawrence a weapon. And this comes up to you, Tommy, with New England.
So they got Trey Lance, I believe, in the first round. I'm going to get Trey Lance a weapon. The amount of speed on that offense, him and Rondale Moore. I'm really high on Rondale Moore. I mean, he's had injury concerns his whole career, but if you go back to his freshman season, his film is absolutely incredible. If he can recapture anything that he had his freshman year, that's a steal for New England.
So that brings me the Los Angeles' second selection. And the first selection, we had them selecting Darrisaw. So they got their offensive tackle. And second selection, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Ronnie Perkins here. And, Melvin Ingram is a free agent. Joey Bosa is a free agent next year unless they re-sign him. So I feel you need to start replenishing your defensive line, your defensive ends. And I feel like you can never have too many defensive ends and or edge rushers. I think it's a premium in this league. And I'm going Perkins here for Los Angeles to you need to start stocking the cupboard back up. So that's why I got Perkins going there for Los Angeles, which now brings the Raiders selection to you, John, with the second round selection.
Oh, and this is tough because I think there's still some D-backs here that I really like. But, man, they have a pretty big hole as it stands at offensive tackle. And there's one that they have been rumored to really like still on the board. So I'm going to go with Samuel Cosmi, offensive tackle with Texas. Like I said, fits the profile, 3-year starter. They like that. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Colton Miller. Can just day one start on the right side, which obviously after trading Trent Brown, right now we got Brandon Parker slated to start, and we got to upgrade that. So, give me Samuel Cosmi, especially with Gruden being an offensive guy. I don't think he takes 2 defensive players in a row as much as I want him to.
So that, Las Vegas gets their offensive tackle and brings it to you, Adam, with the Arizona selection at 49.
So for Arizona, as much as I would love to go offense here because it's Cliff Kingsbury, he's an offensive-minded guy, their defense was one of the worst in the NFL last year. I think they need another cornerback, especially with Patrick Peterson gone. So I'm going to give them, and I can't wait till I butcher this name, Ifiatu Melifonawu. We're gonna go
Tom
with
can say the last name because I think it wasn't his brother played with the Raiders, right?
Yep, second round pick not too long ago.
Well, he's going second round here.
He won a Super Bowl with New England, believe it or not. That guy on the bench, but
Melifonwu.
Hey, his ring is just as shiny as Brady's.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, go ahead, Adam. They get corner because it's a huge need for them.
Absolutely. I mean, they need a huge need, especially now in the NFC West, where there's a lot of wide receiver weapons. Robert Woods, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. You need cornerback help. There's no hiding it. 6 games out of the year, you're going to go up against some of the best wide receivers in the league, and you need as much help as possible.
So with that, number 50, the Miami Dolphins go to you, Dave.
It's a difficult pick, the Dolphins. I think, again, they've hit a lot of needs.
It seems like Dave's getting all them Dolphins and or Jaguars, everyone who has like 5 or 6 picks, and then you try to – all the needs are taken, but
again, I think –
just throw it in the hat and pick it.
I think I'll go Peyton Turner out of Houston. I think they need an edge rusher, and I think one of the best available players at that position still on the board. Go simple, take the best player available at the position. Don't be fancy with it. Just improve that pass rush next season. No.
And that brings you, Tommy, with Washington at 51.
So with Washington, I'm going to go a little different right here. I'm going with Kellen Mond. I like him as a developmental quarterback. The second might be a little bit early for him. I see him as a round 2, round 3 guy. Fitzpatrick's not going to be there forever. If you feel like Mond can step in and be a franchise quarterback, I could see him going here in the second round of Washington, to be honest.
And see you. I don't know. You read my mind because I was actually thinking about going that for Chicago with their 50.
Were you?
I was, but he's not there. Not going Kyle Trask. I'm not going my favorite of the draft, Jamie Newman. I'm not going anything like that. I'm going to go offensive tackle. I'm going to go Walker Little. Bobby Massey was let go, and to me, watching Chicago last year, with whether it was Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles, they were running for their lives. Well, Nick Foles really wasn't because he can't really run, but they need to shore up that offensive line. And I really like Walker Little. I know, Adam, you actually did the pro day with Stanford, so you got to actually ask him a question and talk to him a little bit. So I like him as a prospect. I feel he's rising a little bit, but I know he didn't play last year, and I know he's had some injuries, but I think if he's healthy, he's one of the top tackles in this draft. And I feel like this class is just so deep. I think it's going to help the Bears because they need to get offensive line depth on this team. So with the 53rd selection, the Tennessee Titans, that goes to you, John.
Who did they take in the first round? I forget.
Ojulari.
Okay. All right. So I could go defense here, but you know what? I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC.
Taking my picks for the 5th time.
I know they signed Josh Reynolds, but I think St. Brown is a really good fit there with AJ Brown, obviously, and you get Derrick Henry. I think it's just continue to build that physical offense. But with Corey Davis kind of bouncing out, I think they need to get a new wide receiver, obviously. So they go with the dude at USC.
That brings up to you with Adam with number 54 in the Indianapolis Colts.
Well, I'm going wide receiver for them. I think the one issue when Carson Wentz was in Philadelphia is we had no weapons. I'm hoping the Colts don't make that mistake with him. So I know T.Y. Hilton, his days in Indianapolis are coming to an end. He might have another year left. I know Michael Pittman's right there, and he had a pretty rough rookie season, but a lot of potential. I'm going De'Ami Brown from North Carolina. He's a deep ball threat. Carson is very successful throwing the deep ball. He's a deep ball threat. I think it's going to be a perfect matchup for both of them.
And that gives the Pittsburgh Steelers selection number 55 to you, Dave.
I mean, there are two routes we could go here. Obviously, the Steelers pounce to retirement at the end of the season, but I think, as mentioned earlier, they haven't had a consistent run game in years. So I think they'd be stupid to not take Travis Etienne. I think that's the consensus pick there. They'd be go get Big Ben a run game as last year. And that's as easy as that.
Yeah, they need running backs, and that's going to help them. And brings Seattle's first selection. The next three selections are two that we haven't seen or talked about yet, so this is pretty good here. Seattle goes to you, Tommy, at number 56. Do they go running back again? Do they do a reach? What do you want to do with them?
So for Seattle, I'm going with an offensive line help. Got to get Russ a little bit of help there. I'm going with a center, Creed Humphrey. Very, very athletic player. It's not really the sexy pick, but you eventually have to protect Russell Wilson. I mean,
and brings me with the LA Rams first selection at number 57. This one's kind of tough because I'm trying to think where I want to go. And this one's tough. I'm trying to look and see with the Rams. You could go with a defensive back. You don't want to go running back. They went running back last year. I think that I am going to go to the offensive line.
hang on.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the tackles. I'm gonna go Dylan Radins from North Dakota State. Andrew Whitworth is getting older, and this is a selection because I think LA needs to get a little bit deeper on the offensive line. They need to start thinking about the future, and you have Matt Stafford there as your quarterback. You need to shore up the offensive line. You need to build up that offensive line, and I think Radins is a player that, like I said, this offensive line class is very deep. So I like the selection. I like what he did in North Dakota State. I felt at Senior Bowl he really showed what he can do handling top premier pass rushers on the one-on-one drills. So I really like Radins as a player here for the Rams. That brings it to you. It seems like you're picking all the Raiders division rivals, John. So you got the Chiefs.
It hurts. It does kind of hurt. So, normally I would probably have went O-line here, but I don't think that's going to happen. They obviously just traded for Orlando Brown, signed Kyle Long, signed Joe Thuney. They signed a couple good players, and they rebuilt that O-line pretty quick. So I think they are good for now for the most part on their O-line. So I'm going to get them another weapon with the loss of Sammy Watkins. I'm going to go with Amari Rogers, wide receiver from Clemson. Slightly undersized, but that's kind of how the Chiefs roll. But I was going to kind of honestly go Tutu Atwell and pair that speed here with Tyreek Hill, but a little early, I think, and I don't know about the size and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to go a little more polished guy, Amari Rogers, and unfortunately give Mahomes another deep threat.
And that brings the Cleveland's 59th selection to you, Adam. Where do you go there?
Sweet. So I'll be honest. I lived in Cleveland for 4 years for my undergrad, and all my friends from school are Browns fans, and I kind of gave that up to them. And they told me they want two things to happen. They want a linebacker, and they want a player from a school that's in Ohio. And there's a perfect player right there, Baron Browning, a linebacker from Ohio State. Browns fans, they love Ohio State players just for the connection of Ohio. I think Baron Browning is a hidden gem in this tough linebacker class. I think, and hopefully they start valuing the linebacker position, but Baron Browning seems like a good fit for him.
And that brings up number 60 and the New Orleans Saints selection to you, Dave.
I mean, looking at the Saints, I know their receiving call's not the best, but I think for where they are and the receivers that are off the board, I think it's a bit too much of a reach to go for the likes of Tylan Wallace or Nico Collins. So I think they got Aaron Robinson of USC. No, sorry, UCF. Sorry, getting a bit late over it. They just again, there's sort of team that towards the back end of last year when they started to play the better teams, their secondary was a bit suspect. So I think getting in another guy, a younger guy to bolster an area where you've got older players like Malcolm Jenkins is really going to help them out going forward. And looking at their team, I think outside the Marshall and Lattimore, there's not really a standout guy. So you've got that guy who can play in a slot and potentially play outside if you nurture him enough.
And that brings up you, Tommy, number 61, the Buffalo Bills, second selection.
So first round, they went with Kwity Paye, edge rusher. For the Bills have invested a lot in running backs, and they've kind of been missing the last few years. There's a player I like a lot here, Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. I think he could finally give them that diversity in their offense, that it's not all on Josh Allen to be their only guy. Finally give them some sort of a semblance of a run game.
And that brings me, the Green Bay Packers, at number 62. Where did Green Bay go with the first selection?
Farley.
Yeah.
Farley. I'm not going receiver. I know that's going to be a huge thing. I'm not helping Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to do what Green Bay does. I'm going Jabril Cox, linebacker, LSU. They need an inside linebacker. Chris Barnes. They did release Christian Kirksey. I feel they need to go and they need to get a player that, Jabril Cox at LSU, North Dakota State before that, really showed out his athleticism, what he can do at the Senior Bowl. And I think Green Bay needs to keep working on their defense. And because if Aaron Rodgers is there, it doesn't matter if there's trash cans running. He's going to hit them. And to me, it doesn't really matter. He's going to be able to put points on the board with whatever they throw out there. So I think shoring up the defense is going to be the way to go there with Jabril Cox. Brings up you, John. You got the Chiefs again at number 63 here.
This guy's out. All right, so Chiefs again. I went offense the last couple picks ago, and I'm going to go defense here. I'm going to give them Pete Werner, linebacker from Ohio State. They got to kind of remake that linebacking core. Their defense really isn't bad, obviously, a little better than it's given credit for. And they drafted Willie Gay last year, so we'll see where he's at. But I think Werner fits them well. I think he's a three-down linebacker. I think he's really smart, instinctive, good leader, hard worker, and I think he's going to be able to stay on the field and even kind of neutralize / cover some of the talented and athletic tight ends in the division. Darren Waller. Now you got Garrett Cook, you got Noah Fant. So I think that's a good pick for them, and I'm going to go Pete Werner, linebacker out of Ohio State for the Chiefs.
And that brings it to you, Adam, with the Bucs' last selection, second round. You're going to wrap it up for us here with the last selection.
Sweet. So I can't really find a glaring hole in the Buccaneers team at all. So every single draft pick is just going to be a draft pick for the future, in my opinions. I really wanted to kind of go quarterback here, but then I realized Tom Brady will be playing for the next 10 years. So I refrained from that. But this is Bruce Arians, and he likes throwing wrenches in. I'm going to go running back, and I'm going to go Kenny Gainwell from Memphis. I know they already have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette there. However, Bruce Arians likes throwing wrenches in. The run game of those three, I think, could go down as one of the greatest running back groups of all time, just the way all three of them play. And Bruce Arians doesn't really care what haters have to say, and he's going to do what he wants.
All right. So, Tom, if you want to scroll up all the way to the top. All right. And so I'm just going to read down all the picks. So Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. The Jets, Zach Wilson. 49ers, Mac Jones. Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. The Bengals, Penei Sewell. The Dolphins, Jamar Chase. Lions, Micah Parsons. Panthers, Patrick Surtain II. The Broncos, Justin Fields. Cowboys, Rashawn Slater. Giants, Elijah Vera Tucker. Eagles, J.C. Horn. Chargers, Christian Darrisaw. Vikings, Jalen Phillips. New England Patriots, Trey Lance. Arizona Cardinals, Jalen Waddle. The Las Vegas Raiders, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Dolphins again, Najee Harris. Washington, Rashad Bateman. Chicago Bears, Devontae Smith. Colts, Tevin Jenkins. Titans, Azeez Ojulari. The Jets, Greg Newsome II. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Landon Dickerson. Jacksonville, Alex Leatherwood. Browns, Christian Barmore. Ravens, Joseph Asai. Saints, Zaven Collins. We have the Packers, Caleb Farley. Bills, Kwity Paye. Ravens, Terrence Marshall Jr. And the Bucks, Jason Owa. And then in the second round, we have Jacksonville, Trevin Moehrig. We have Jets, Gregory Rousseau. Eric Stokes to the Falcons. Dolphins, Jamin Davis. We have the Eagles, Carlos Basham Jr. We have the Bengals, Wyatt Davis. We have the Panthers, Pat Freiermuth. The Broncos, Calvin Joseph. The Lions, Kadarius Toney. The Giants, Joe Tryon. The 49ers, Elijah Molden. Cowboys, Asante Samuel Jr. Jacksonville, Elijah Moore. Patriots, Rondale Moore. The Chargers, Ronnie Perkins. The Raiders, Samuel Cosme. The Cardinals, Afitu Melifonwu. The Dolphins, Peyton Turner. Washington, Kellen Mond. The Bears, Walker Little. The Titans, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Colts, Diami Brown. The Steelers, Travis Etienne. Seahawks, Creed Humphrey. Rams, Dylan Radins. Chiefs, Amari Rogers. The Browns, Baron Browning. The Saints, Aaron Robinson. Bills, Javonte Williams. We have the Packers, Jabril Cox. Chiefs, Pete Werner. And to round it all out, Tampa Bay, Kenneth Gainwell. So that gives us the 2-round community mega mock draft for All About the Birds. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming on to do it. Absolutely appreciate it. Appreciate everyone listening, everyone tuning in, everyone sharing. Make sure you follow everybody. You can follow myself at JohnnyU9322. You can follow Tommy at TBarnett91. You can follow Dave at DaveGFC Miller. You can follow Adam at AAMack1234. You can follow John at John_M_98. And also on Instagram, Raiders Elite _. You can follow him. He's putting a lot of great content out. Adam with All About the Birds writing and also the cut. He's doing a lot of great stuff for us and them. So make sure you tune into him, check him out, and make sure you check out Dave as well on All About the Birds. And, we appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on for this fun time here. Like I said, Tommy and I will be back. We'll be back next Sunday to discuss, what happened with the draft. Some surprises, some misses, some reaches. We're going to be talking about all that. We'll definitely be going over our team selections, the Giants and the Eagles. And then Tommy and I are going to do something a little interesting. We're going to be putting out YouTube exclusives. We're going to be talking about certain things with the draft. So make sure you tune into that. Our first thing is going to be the 2004 redraft. We're going to redraft that whole entire 2004 draft. So that's definitely going to be fun. So make sure you tune into that. But with everything, I want to say thank you to everybody. I want to say thank you to you guys. Any last words?
No, just good fun and good to get on.
Appreciate you having me, man. Really was a blast. For sure.
Dave,
thanks for having me. Always fun.
Go ahead, Adam.
Thanks for having me. It's always a lot of fun. Draft season's always the best part of the year.
Yep. Not going to be able to really focus much at work this week, but we'll get there.
It's draft week this year is a little bit different than last year, but still the same excitement. I could say that.
Yeah.
But don't miss on Wednesday night the All About the Birds weekly report. We're going to be doing mock drafts. All the guys are going to be doing mock drafts, and I'm going to be the one critiquing it. So it should be a fun episode. So make sure you tune into that one. And then on Thursday, the guys are going live. I'm not sure. Are you guys going to be going on? I'm not sure if Adam or Dave, I don't know if you guys are going to be joining them. I know they're having a bunch of people come on. But that's definitely going to be, they're starting from the beginning, and they're going to go all the way up to the Eagles pick. Now, if the Eagles trade back, maybe the Eagles trade out of the first round and they'll be on for the whole draft. But definitely tune into that. That is on Thursday night. Make sure you're tuning in on Mondays to Chips and Dish. Tuesdays, Fairway to Heaven with Jason and Phil. Make sure you tune in on Fridays, the YouTube exclusive with Jeff and Peanut, Birds, Beers, and BS. So make sure you tune in all those shows. And I'm going to leave you off with the commercial, and we'll be out of here. Right. I always leave it with Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers, and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBirds. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.